Tonight in Atlanta, the Nats open the last road trip of the regular season. Max Scherzer can improve his Cy Young chances and move the East leaders one step closer to a division title. Seems like the Nats were just at Turner Field. In fact, it was a month ago. August and September visits to Georgia. The Nats have dominated this season series 14-2 over the Braves. And look who's next to me tonight. It's Ray Knight. FP has the weekend off. Good to have you with us,
Good
buddy.
to be here, buddy.
And you are back home, and you're watching an Atlanta ball club kind of struggling to get things back to where they should be. But I'm interested in your opinion, watching from afar Max Scherzer this year. He goes tonight. Your thoughts on trying to hit this guy?
Well, I'm glad I don't have to hit him. He has the best stuff in the league for me, leading the league in strikeouts. He's leading the league in a lot of different categories that are power categories. Great slider, outstanding fastball, can ring it up there to about 98. Ability to fill his position, but he just takes over a ball game. You get a situation where there's somebody on base, you need a strikeout, he can do it. Doesn't give up very many hits. Just a guy that's heads your staff. I mean, he would be the #1 starter in all of baseball if there was an all-star team like that.
So these are the guys, and Ray's got a formula he'll explain later, that are the top three in his opinion, and to a certain extent ours as well, for that Cy Young Award. So Scherzer, John Lester, Johnny Cueto, all stacking up. We'll explain more about that during the ball game. Kind of an exciting time, though, when you're on a team you know you're going to clinch soon. It's a special time of the year.
It really is. I've been excited for about the last month as the team started playing solidly. You saw the Mets going the other way. The Marlins were hurt. And I just started feeling like, hey, this is going to be it. This team is just starting to come into play, doing the things they're supposed to do, and playing the game correctly.
Doesn't hurt when you bash the division and bash the Braves. The Nats 14 out of 16 against Atlanta, over 6 runs a game. With runners in scoring position, and there have been a lot of them, the boys are hitting .350 versus the ATL. Nationals baseball on Masson, brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you, and by American Standard Heating and Air. It's their all-star sales event with up to $1,100 in instant rebates or 0% APR for 36 months. That shot is from 30 years ago. That's what the traffic used to look like in Atlanta back in the 80s. I'm just kidding. Hey, great to have Dusty back. He's got a smile on his face. He's got the toothpick ready, and taking on the Atlanta Braves over the weekend. Clear skies, it's beautiful. 84 degrees, humidity is reasonable, 48%. Flag's not doing a whole lot, but there is some movement toward the left field corner, and that's good news for some right-handed batters. Maybe Trey Turner, on base 29 of his last 32 games, and he's wearing out at Atlanta. 20 for 47 against the Braves and hitting .426 with a lot of extra base hits, scoring a lot of runs. Steven Drew for Danny Espinosa in the number 8 spot tonight. And Drew's been swinging a good bat even before or after his injury. Coons.com with our scouting report. Over 2 million vehicles sold and counting. So here's John Gant. Ray, he's 24 years of age. He's from Savannah, downstate toward the ocean, and a lot of relieving. It's his first start against the Nats tonight.
Yeah, he's had a lot of experience in the minor leagues as he's won 30 games down there, 19 losses. They've just had him out there in the bullpen, I think, more than anything, to just get him used to the big leagues. Just 24 years old, fastball 92 miles an hour. He throws that about 59% of the time. The curveball and the changeup, doesn't throw them about 19-20% of the time. So basically a fastball pitcher, gets ahead and tries to throw the breaking ball. The curveball is very slow at 75.
Trey Turner, 340 batting average. First pitch of the game is the heater right in there. We're underway at 7:37, couple of minutes late. Braves played their Friday night games a half hour later, so everybody can get out of that traffic and make their way to the ballpark. Kind of an odd, almost awkward start with that left step toward the dugout. We'll get more into that. Mark Ripperger, a 7-year veteran, has the plate. Crew Chief Joe West, 39th year. There he is at first. Andy Fletcher, 18th year. Kerwin Danley, 25th. Breaking ball. Turner looks at it. 2-1. Trey facing this right-hander for the first time. Last 22 games batting an even .400. Just been remarkable. Coming off a 2-hit game against the Mets on Wednesday. Fastball away, it's out of play.
Very difficult to pitch him inside, Bob. He has that quick bat. He has shown time and time again that he can turn that on that inside pitch and put a charge in it. I think the thing that's impressed me most is his ability to lay off the breaking balls on the outside part of the plate, working away.
Fastball up and away. Tyler Flowers holding it for the umpire, and the count is full.
They initially tried him away a lot with the breaking ball, and he wasn't having much success. And he started hitting the ball to right field.
Chopper over the mound. All right, the race is on, and he beats it. Dansby Swanson coming straight in, and really it was not much of a contest at first base.
Just a blur going down the line. I looked up there. I knew this was hit as soon as it hit off the plate. No question about it. No chance. By the bag, 2 steps. Just put it in your pocket. Golly, that kid can fly. Holy moly.
So Trey Turner now 84 hits, playing in his 58th game. I don't know. We're talking about Murphy approaching 200 a year from now. Maybe a couple of Nats will be flirting with that. Next up, Jason Worth hitting 246. Just a few of the Nationals have faced Gant. He made a 1-inning relief appearance against Washington way back on April 6th here. Jason 0 for 1 in that game. So was Wilson Ramos. The other two who faced him not in the lineup, Clint Robinson and Danny Espinosa. 0-2.
Trey working on his lead over there, Bob. He started off with about, I'd say, 12-foot lead, and then he worked it out to about a 14-foot lead. And he's about to get out to the edge of the cut of that grass. He hasn't gotten there yet, but he's getting near it. He's right on the cusp of it. If he gets to that cut, he's going to go.
Could see off speed on 0-2 maybe. He's holding, and it's a fastball upstairs, 1-2.
And that's really good for you young kids out there at home. Just because you can run, don't be anxious. You know, we've got nobody out in this inning, so he knows he's going to get to see 4, 5, 6 more pitches. You would like to get down to second base as soon as you can, but make sure that you get a good read on the pitcher, the timing, how quickly he's going to get the ball to the plate so you can get a good jump. Have him throw over there. We call it a one-way lead. You get out as far as you can off the bag, and you make the pitcher throw over there so that you know exactly how far you can extend yourself. I think that's what he did right there.
1-2 to Worth. There he goes. Jason right behind him with a base hit. Looked like a perfect run and hit on a 1-2 count. And the corner situation, nobody out, with Murphy and Harper now the next two.
Literally gives me the chills. This is the way it's drawn up in every baseball manual you'll ever see. Runner goes, you give yourself up, shoot the ball to the right side. Second base is vacated. It was a line drive, going to be a base hit anyway. Second baseman is covering. He's gone. You can drive 4 or 5 semi trucks in that hole over there, but just a great execution there. He was stealing, Bob, no doubt, and it was a run and hit. But as a hitter, you still know that with that second baseman cheating towards second, who's going to cover? He is. So you hit the ball that way. Great job.
Yeah, good job of contact by Jason Worth on a 2-strike count. Here's Murphy, 12-game hitting streak, and a chance to take an immediate lead here. That's trying to set a tone for the weekend. They continue to be the highest scoring first inning team in baseball this year with 110. Big gap right center with Inciarte shaded the other way. Murphy this year against the Braves, 426, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs. So you don't have to have New York on your uniform to get punished by this guy.
Swanson playing up the middle instead of straight away. He's shedding him toward right field, thinking he's going to pull. He has the cover on a steal.
There's that changeup floating way outside.
Almost, to me, that's no man's land right there, because you see the ball that Murph's hit right up the middle, or he shoots that ball in the hole, and it just looks like to me that he's shading him too far up the middle.
Two and one to the league's leading hitter. 2-point lead over DJ LeMahieu, by the way. He's at 346. Murphy 348. Rockies home to the Padres tonight. Murphy 12 RBIs against the Braves this year. And he looks at a low strike, 2-2. Gant 1-3, 7th start of the year, 16th appearance overall.
Now this is where Murph becomes really tough. He's going to be looking away for the fastball. He'll adjust to the breaking ball. He's not going to try to pull the ball. That's why he fouls off so many good pitches. He shortens his swing. A lot of times he doesn't even stride in this situation. Going inside with him.
2-2. Murphy gets jammed and pops it up. Right side of the infield. Gordon Beckham. Chase Peterson was a late scratch, so Beckham at second base for a very important first out for Atlanta. The Braves are 12th in the league in defense. 2 errors short of 100. Ender Inciarte has 14 assists in center field. Starling Marte of the Pirates, the only assist man who has more with 17. So Swanson, the young shortstop, up the middle with Beckham. who's a very good defensive guy at second.
Pretty good pitch there by the kid. Gant, you get him 2-2. You know that he likes the ball out away from him with 2 strikes. He busted it inside, and one of the few times that you don't see Murph get the ball out of there, but they're working him away, breaking balls. And I guess they read the same scouting report that we know.
Bryce Harper, first pitch breaking ball missing. Bryce coming off a hitless series against the Mets. He went 0 for 8. But he had an RBI. He walked 5 times.
Bryce has had a tough time with his timing all year long. You know, they say, well, you start the bat, you make sure that your hips get cocked, somehow you load it up. And he loads it, but sometimes it's a tad late, and he fouls pitches that he should hit off the other way. Causes his bat barrel to lay off. It causes him to drop that bat barrel. Many times I've seen him right on a pitch, and he just fouls it back. Some of that has to do with him spinning with that front shoulder. Some of it has to do with him not having his legs underneath him.
2-0 count. Braves in an infield shift, and Harper takes it in there. 2 strike 1. Big ballpark, 390 right center gap, 380 left center. Got to have a great center fielder in this yard. So it's Turner at third, Worth first base. Three and one.
Away. And then seems to want to bust you inside when he gets 2 strikes on you. Let's see what he does right here. Bryce is going to keyhole him. Bryce likes the ball. In this situation, he likes the ball kind of right where that kneecap is on that catcher, too, on his right kneecap, left if we're looking at the TV.
3-1 pitch. Well inside. Bryce takes the walk. Bases loaded, 1 out for Anthony Rendon.
Just wasn't going to pitch to him. Gives him a 3-1 curveball. Not even close.
Bryce now on the year, 103 strikeouts, 104 on the walks. And a big spot for Anthony Rendon. By the way, on the defense, you might have noticed Blake Lally playing first base tonight for the Braves. Freddie Freeman and his wife had a baby. So that's sort of a week. Here's Rendon hitting .275 with 76 batted in. On the edge.
So far, of his 4 first pitches, every one of them has been away. Then he came back off of the fastball and threw some type of breaking ball if it was a strike. If it was a ball, he went back to the fastball to that same area. Let's see if he throws the breaking ball here. Fastball right down the chute. Good pitch to hit right there.
Let's go inside the numbers, brought to you by Jeep. The aforementioned first inning runs this year. Red Sox getting a little closer. But the Nats still #1 in all of baseball with 110. Breaking ball, that was a hanger, and he bangs it to left. 2 runs will score. Turner followed by Worth. Anthony Rendon, RBIs number 77 and 78. So now it's 112 first inning runs for Washington.
Bob, see right there, that all that is just paying attention. Curveball, pretty good one, but it's on the inside part of the plate. It wasn't a backup, he just started inside. But if you're sitting over there in the on-deck circle and you're watching how he pitches everybody, he goes fastball, then a curveball. He went fastball doubled up and threw him a curveball, but he's done that to every hitter in front of him. So 0-2, you're not looking for the curveball, but you have to be able to feel it, because this guy has thrown it and likes it seemingly early in the count.
Now Wilson Ramos with 2 men aboard. Another hitter who has really hurt the Atlanta pitching staff this year. That's a front door curveball. Wilson 347 against the Braves. A homer, 8 RBIs. Anthony Rendon now 42 RBIs in his last 48 games.
He's been something, boy.
0-1. Ramos roll it a short. Swanson, Beckham, and a 6-4-3 will put an end to the top of the first. Nats come up big though. Rendon drives in 2. Max Scherzer an early lead. Again, 78 runs batted in. So Max Scherzer will go to work with a couple on the board. Here's the Braves lineup. And by the way, these guys have been raking. 5.87 runs over the last 2 weeks, hitting .306. Inciarte is the one guy who's having a bit of a struggle, but since the All-Star break, he's been great. 82 hits, leads Major League Baseball. 0 for 7, not really a slump. And our Coons.com scouting report, over 2 million vehicles sold and counting on Max Scherzer. He is the beast of the East. 7-0, 1.85 last 8 starts against the East. He's 9-2 overall against the division and wins 64% of the time, 3rd best among active pitchers.
Well, in my opinion, you're looking at the best pitcher in baseball. You may not think so when you look at the one-loss record, because there's guys that are 17-4. But this guy is unreal. He is the epitome of the ace. Goes out there and gives you about 7 innings every time he's on the mound. Starts off, it's amazing to me, and I don't know another pitcher that did this that I've faced, that threw 92, 93 early, maybe 94, Bob, for the first 2 or 3 innings until he needed it, and then just right out of nowhere, 97. And then late in the inning, late in the game, all of a sudden he starts throwing missiles. 96, 97, 96.
Well, 251 strikeouts kind of goes back to a different time in this game. So it's 1-2 to Inciarte. Ramos sets up away. Fastball up and away. Unreachable. Strikeout number 252. By the way, we told you about those active leaders in winning percentage that are better than Scherzer, at least in winning percentage, and there's no way you're reaching that. Clayton Kershaw, one of them. David Price is the other. So Max is the leading right-hander in that department. And next up, the third baseman, Adonis Garcia.
Just to address that replay there, see how far that ball was out off the plate and up? That's what great strikeout pitchers do. They get ahead of you and then they throw a pitch that appears to be in the strike zone, but with the movement and the location, and anytime the ball is up, it's closer to your eyes, you see it better and you have a tendency to chase it.
A ball hit pretty well out to center. Trey Turner slowing down at the edge of the track to make the grab.
Let's keep count, Bob, tonight of the strikeouts that Scherzer has that are not in the strike zone.
All right, well, one so far.
That's one.
Okay, I got it. Braves defense, or rather the Nats defense now, #1 in the league again, 65 errors. Dodgers and Giants have 67. The only change is Stephen Drew at short for Danny Espinosa, who reportedly is en route and supposed to arrive about 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. So a very capable guy at short who can really pick it, good arm, all around great player for this ball club, Stephen Drew. There's a strike to Nick Markakis.
His home's about 200 miles south of here. Born in Valdosta, raised in Hahira.
Yeah, here's another.
Went to Florida State. Here's another Atlanta boy,
guy, yeah.
Markakis. Gant Markakis.
It's unbelievable with the emergence of the Cobb County League and those unbelievable fields those kids play on up there. How many major leaguers come out of the Atlanta area now? It's crazy. Buster Posey, so many others. Frank Core,
Hayward,
Brian McCann. 2 balls, 1 strike to Markakis, who's on a 7-game hitting streak, 10 for 26. And he's also been pretty good against Max over the years, 9 for 31. Another one slapped out to center. Turner back, and there he is. 1, 2, 3 for Max Scherzer with a 2-run lead early in the weekend. And his teammates hanging out in the dugout tonight. Top of the second coming up. Tuesday when the Nats come home, when they play the Diamondbacks. Be one of the first 25,000 to enter Nationals Park. It's a Ben Revere Garden Gnome presented by Delta Airlines. Visit nationals.com/tickets. I think it should be able to talk myself. He is gregarious to say the least. 7-8-9 for the Nats. Zimmerman, Drew, Scherzer. And that was a 10-pitch bottom of the first for Max.
Cruising.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman, who has a 3-game hitting streak. 1 single, 1 for an RBI in each of the last 3 games, but he's been making some good solid contact, and at least this week has been rewarded for some of that.
I'm going to tell you something that I didn't know, and I don't know if you'll believe it. My producer on our show did some research, and some of the researchers about hard hit balls in our ball club.
Out of play, that one.
And I want you to tell me, oh wise one, who hits the ball harder than anybody on our ball club when they make contact? This season.
I'd say, yeah, last year Bryce Harper. This year, is it Ryan Zimmerman?
Oh, you can't guess that. How do you think? Where do you come up with that?
You made it pretty obvious. He's batting.
Well, you know, I could trick you.
That ball sharply too short for Dansby Swanson. A little bit wide on the throw. The rookie Blake Lally able to grab it.
Yeah, it really surprised me that. And I know Zim has hit the ball hard, but that's what happens when you get into a streak like this. You kind of, you don't. We people, when it's an out, sometimes you forget how many hard outs that he has hit. Yes, it is Ryan Zimmerman, and second was Murph, third Harper, and fourth was Rendon. And that's hard contact.
Yeah, well, good hitters. Things will pay off for him eventually. We know Ryan is poised for a good September.
I'll tell you a story.
2 weeks, 2.5 weeks ago, by the way.
Before we get into this game, a little story about hitting it hard.
Here's Drew. And the changeup in the dirt.
I got called to the big leagues in 1974. I hit 226 in AAA, but I could pick it, so they called me up to play defense. Cincinnati.
Another changeup, a good one.
I was getting interviewed by a guy named Earl Lawson, and Johnny Bench just happened to be in ear distance from me. And he said, Ray, you hit 226. What are you going to do for your offense? I said, well, I hit a hard 226. And he said, a hard 226? And I said, yes, sir, I did.
This ball left field corner, and Kemp playing way off the line, and it falls foul.
And he said, Ray, how do you explain a hard 226? I said, well, I didn't strike out but 30 times. When I went to the plate, I hit the ball hard most every time, 3 out of 4 bats or so. And after he walked off, he ends up putting this thing in a newspaper the next day. It didn't sound very flattering, but Bench came up to me and says, hey, kid, don't ever tell somebody that you hit a hard 226. I said, well, Johnny, I did. He said, but just that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
You know, you can't hit a hard 226. And the next year, Johnny hit 238. So that spring training, that story came up, and Bench was laughing about me, and I said, oh yeah, Johnny, you hit a hard 238 last year. Anyway, you'd have to be there to appreciate it, but
well, it's good advice for a rookie.
Yeah, just keep your mouth shut.
Seen and not heard. 3-2 to Drew. Well, both of you got a whole lot better after that season. And I know you went to. Was it Mexico?
I did.
To face a bunch of curveball pitchers
sure
to learn
did.
how to hit the hook. I remember you telling us that.
I did.
So 3-2, and Drew draws the 1-out walk right in front of Max Scherzer. Second walk by John Gant.
I also went to the Dominican Republic for 2 years after that, 75, 76, 77. Dale Murphy was up here. He was my teammate in 77 in Dominican Republic at San Pedro de Macorís, and we were talking about that. But yeah, it took me 3 years in the winter balls to finally figure out how to hit the breaking ball. But that's all they threw down there, and it paid off.
Max Scherzer looking to push a third run into scoring position. He'll lay off and take it low and away. Max has been great with the bat this year. 10 hits, 11 sacrifices, 8 runs batted in. So Bob Henley looking over at Drew. How about this when you're tied with Billy Hamilton for the most sacrifices? Of course, Hamilton probably trying to bunt for a hit some of those times.
I'm sure he was.
So that'll be Gant to Lawley. Actually, the second baseman Beckham covering. So Max Scherzer laying the ball down beautifully, giving Turner a shot with 2 outs. to make it 3-0.
Trey's a legitimate RBI man. When we had Span there, he made contact, and whomever else we had in the leadoff spot have not been, in my opinion, RBI man. I mean, this guy is dangerous. He likes the situation. Hits the ball hard. So you get that guy over, you got a heck of a chance to capitalize with this man hitting.
Well, he chopped one off the plate first time when it landed behind the pitcher. Despite a good play by Swanson. No contest at first. Braves have some good arms in the outfield. By far the best is Inciarte. Kemp, Markakis at the corners. Both well above average. And low and inside, ball one. Trey's now been on base 30 of his last 33 games. And one of those the other night when FP made the good point about Syndergaard. If he could keep Trey Turner off base, he would probably beat the Nats, and that's what the Mets are able to do that night. 2-0. Back-to-back hits by Turner and Worth set the stage for the first inning, and after a Murphy pop-up, a Harper walk, Rendon rifled one to left to bring them both home. 2-0. Got a changeup at 78. Nissan will track it, Ray.
Yeah, you see the arm action. You're sitting fastball. He way out ahead of it. He got it in. Very difficult pitch to hit on the inside part of the plate because your eyes read it in there. You think it's a fastball, and you just react quickly, and you're going to finish out ahead of it.
And Trey Turner probably swinging at ball 3, seeing a heater away, and the count's 2-2. He doesn't walk much, 8 times. 47 strikeouts.
See if he goes to something other than that hook. He kept on that hook in this situation in the first inning. Fastball.
And he threw that one where he threw the 1-2 pitch, or rather the 2-1 pitch. So it's a full count now. Off speed, that ball hammered to deep left center. Inciarte chasing, watching. See you later. Trey Turner, number 9. RBI total up to 32. And he's on the verge of being a double-digit steals and home run guy. The Nats, 4-0.
I want to tell you right now, this kid, we have talked about all of his speed, his ability to hit. You don't hit the ball where he's hitting the ball unless you're going to be a power hitter. It all relates to bat speed. You get better pitches to hit in the big leagues. You see the ball better in the big leagues because of the lights. You face just as tough a pitching in the minor leagues, guys that just can't throw strikes, but they throw just as hard. You see just as good at breaking balls in the minor leagues. They just don't get them over the plate. Here they try to throw the ball over the plate. This guy may be a 25, 30 home run hit guy. And the reason I'm saying that is he hit that bomb at home that went 430 feet to center field. He hits that at the largest part of this ballpark, 4 rows deep. I mean, that's where the big boys go. I'm telling you. That's like 3-hole hitters, 4-hole hitters that have pop. So talk about him being impressed. I'm impressed with his sheer power.
Left at 104 miles an hour and went 408 to left center. 9 home runs for Trey Turner. 2-1 to Worth. Out of play right side.
And the thing about this ball, it kind of came off as bad, like it was going to be a fly ball because it went straight up, but it continued to carry, and that's what great home run hitters do. They hit the ball in the air, they get that underspin, and it just stays up there and stays up there and keeps going. That's a long ball, and you see the great bat speed.
Now Worth a base hit. Trey Turner, Jason Worth, 4 for 4, scoring 3 runs, and Turner's driven in 2. That'll get Daniel Murphy to the plate again. Top of the second.
Staying back, hanging back just long enough. He's very much a handsy hitter. I used to worry about him getting out in front a lot, and I talked to him one time about his front knee being bent and how he got forward, lost the centerpiece of his stance, basically his fulcrum, the part of the stance that is a middle and
for balance, huh?
You go there for balance, and yet he's able to hit the ball squarely, even when he's off stride or out front or discombobulated. Certainly not the picture swing that you look for, but such great eye-hand coordination.
1-0 to Murphy here. How to play left side. Best pitch of the night that John Gant made was the one that popped up Murphy with 2 on, nobody out, first inning.
Yeah, he busted him inside. Murph couldn't do anything with it. 2-2 pitch. Fastball looks straight. It's got some run, late run, when he gets it out away from his arm side. If he's throwing on the inside part of the plate, it looks pretty straight.
1-1 pitch. Already 4-5-0 Washington. Braves win in order, bottom of the first. And you got Max Scherzer on the mound, and Ryan Weber, just added to the bullpen today, is getting ready very early. Worth running with 2 outs, and Murphy plugging the gap in right center. Jason Worth will score easily. Murphy into second, and it's 5-0 Washington. So here's the litany for Daniel Murphy. Hit number 182, double number 46, extra base hit number 76, and 103 RBIs. Wow.
All right, look where the ball is. Right down the middle of the plate. Just center cut, right down the middle of the plate. All these balls have been hit hard, right down the middle of the plate. So when he spotted the ball, got a pop up, got a ground ball with Ramos, but he's throwing too many balls middle of the plate, and our boys aren't missing.
They're going to intentionally walk Bryce. Second walk to him tonight, third of the game, and go righty-righty again on Anthony Rendon. Brian Snitker, acting manager of the Braves. You can see some Max Scherzer numbers and stats on that screen behind him. I would imagine he doesn't want to turn around and read many of those. So another long inning. And this is the manager. This appears to be an early hook, but probably for the Braves a necessary one in the second inning. Their starter is going to go an inning and 2/3, giving up 5 runs, responsible for up to 2 more on 6 hits. It's our UPS store call to the bullpen. The UPS store, together there's nothing we can't solve. Visit the upsstore.com for locations. A lot of things have happened early for the Nats. 5 runs on 6 hits. And a reminder right now, as you enjoy a cold one on a Friday night, look forward to Miller time later in the game. It's brought to you by Miller Lite. So for the Braves, it'll be right-hander Ryan Weber.
There you go, 61% fastballs, so he's going to come at you, looks like. We saw him in our series at home for a couple of innings. Not doing so well. Left-hander's 382, right-hander's 311. Ouch. Braves just trying to figure it out. They have made so many changes over the last 4 or 5 years. I read an article where they said they were going to go heavy in the free agent market this year, as their new stadium was supposed to up in 2017. And they certainly have saved a lot of money. I don't know how much they've lost as far as fans, because there hasn't been much attendance this year. But
yeah, only Miami and Philadelphia fewer than the Braves, 23,675. So here's Rendon against Weber. First pitch swinging, and he fouls it straight back. Weber, 26 years of age, out of St. Petersburg College. It's his 15th appearance. 27 innings, 15 strikeouts. Anthony Rendon, 3 for 6 facing him. Look out, fastball up and in.
Are you serious?
Right in that shoulder area, and the bases are loaded with 2 down.
That is one thing that concerns you playing late. You know that you've got to finish this thing out, but it's almost like that's nasty. That's way off the plate. It's almost like those football coaches that want to get the quarterback out of there in that first quarter in preseason. You're winding down. Just don't want to get anybody hurt, man. But you got to keep playing hard and hope that everything works out for you health-wise.
Here's Wilson Ramos, 6-for-3 double play ball first time. 1 for 4 against Weber, and gets around late into the screen. That one goes.
Scared me the other day when Murph got hit in the elbow and it kind of pinned him. It's not a good spot to hit. A lot of little bones in that area, and fortunately it hit him a little higher than right on the end of that bone that shocked you. Can crack it pretty easily.
0-1 to Ramos, the 9th national to bat in the inning. This started with the Ryan Zimmerman ground out. Not to be forgotten, Drew drawing a walk in front of Max, who sacrificed, and then Turner blasting one, and another run added on the Murphy double. Curveball way outside, and a good block to his right by Tyler Flowers.
Nice block. Ball kicks. Breaking ball will kick back the opposite way in which it's breaking.
One-two to Ramos, and that's close. Diving down and in. Good take.
Pretty good pitch.
Third base Murphy after he doubled a run home. Bryce Harper walked intentionally. Then on the first pitch, Anthony Rendon took one up around the left shoulder. Ramos getting some licks here. Great career average with the bases loaded.
This guy's just throwing 89 miles an hour. He does have a lot of movement. But you just think, wait. He can't throw the ball by you. Just hit the ball right back up the middle.
Ramos on a pitch that was sitting up. to the shortstop, and it's Swanson to Beckham. Big blow of the inning. Trey Turner, 2 outs, a runner on, and deep to left center. Left at 104 miles an hour, over 400. It landed 5-0 Washington. Lexus dealers. This year, every time a net goes deep, and it's now happened 188 times, $250 to the Children's National Health System. A great cause from Lexus, the pursuit of perfection. We call it home runs for children. And Ray, you've got some further thoughts on what we saw from Trey Turner.
Well, I just know what it looks like when a guy has pop and tremendous bat speed. First of all, he's right here on the line, and he's as deep as he can, but he's totally balanced. Everything right there is right in the middle of his body. And so when he starts that swing, he just rocks back. Watch him rock back, set the front leg, and then so much torque on the back leg as it makes a complete L, 45-degree angle. You stay back on that backside, it allows you to maximize your bat speed. And then there's no turning of the hips or the shoulder before his bat starts to come. As that bat starts to come, his hips, his shoulders, and then his left knee down to his left heel all rotate at the same time, creating a tremendous amount of power.
Matt Kemp will plug the gap in right center. First hit against Max Scherzer. And that's Matt Kemp's 67th extra base hit and his 36th double of the year. By the way, coming into that at bat, listen to this, 3 for 36 career against Max Scherzer.
Yeah,
well hit.
He's an inside-out hitter. Balls inside don't bother him because he takes the bat inside, he lays it off, and he kind of saws across the ball. So that was a nice pitch for most hitters running in on him. It would jam people, but it's hard to jam him because he uses his hand, stays inside the ball, and just kind of flips it to right field.
Here's Tyler Flowers. 4 of his last 10. And by the way, that's an 8-game hitting streak for Matt Kemp with 13 hits. Mentioned how the Braves have been hitting last couple of weeks. That's a base hit. Kemp had to back up. Bo Porter's going to send him down by 5. Trey Turner boots it, and a throw to second safe. So a base hit. They'll probably give him an RBI, but Trey Turner's drop might be an error, allowing Flowers to get to second. It's a 5-1 game.
Well, first of all, we're playing him way over there to pull. This is kind of a routine ground ball right where the shortstop normally is. And Trey, in his haste to throw the guy out, looks up and kind of kicks the ball around, gives a good throw to second, a little late. And he'll learn that too. You charge that ball, but you've got to put your head right down to your knee and make sure that your eye is on that ball, and do not look up till you see that ball disappear in your glove.
Single RBI error on Trey Turner, his 3rd of the year.
Watch him break. Look how far he has to run for this ball. It's a long way, but he does the right thing. He circles it. That's what he's supposed to do. But he was not looking down at the ball. He was actually looked as if he was starting to peer up or move his head up and hit on the edge of his glove.
Now Beckham pops one up. Shortstop side, Stephen Drew. First out, second inning.
Hey, how do you like all this shift stuff? I haven't heard you and FP talk about it. Have you talked about it?
Yeah, we have on occasion, most notably when a ball goes right through where, you know, one of the infielders traditionally is stationed.
Well, it's
and
easy.
It turns into a base hit.
Yeah.
But you know what, Ray? I got to admit, it sure seems to work a lot. I know it flies in the face of tradition, and you and I are old school.
Well, I don't mind it. I like whatever advantage you have and whatever the book says about percentages, but just everybody is not a pull hitter.
Yeah.
And if somebody decides they're going to pitch you away, you're not going to pull that ball. And it all depends on how a pitcher is hitting. You better not be playing a guy the opposite way and have a pitcher pitching it in or soft, or play to pull and have him pitching a guy hard away. That was a hard fastball away at 96 miles an hour that Flowers hit. And
so what you're saying, a pitch he's probably not going to pull.
Not going to pull. No way. Pull to me on a pitch like that is right at the shortstop. You know, if he throws him a slider, then take a step or two over. The third baseman for me, Davey, always, when I was playing third, Davey Concepcion with the runner on second, would always call my name when it was an off-speed pitch. And then I would move a half step toward the line.
Scherzer now goes 3-0 on Dansby Swanson. Things are going okay for the rookie in his first 23 ball games. He's 24 for 80, batting .300. Both of his home runs against the Nats, one inside the yard, the other out, and 10 RBIs. Good-looking 22-year-old player, another Georgia kid out of a town called Kennesaw down here. Scherzer misses on 4 in a row, staying away from him. 2 on, 1 out. Next up, the young first baseman, Blake Lawley. He's from Pittsburgh. Braves signed him as a minor league free agent back in January. Originally signed with the Cubs back in '06. And that was as a 23-year-old non-drafted free agent. 11 years in the minor leagues. Had 24 at-bats for the Brewers 3 years ago, a couple of RBIs. And with the Braves, 3 ball games, 1 for 3. Right by him with 94. It's 0-2. Mercedes-Benz will track it.
Locates middle end, setting up away. He missed his target, but he had no chance. He was really late on that pitch. See if he goes in a little more. Usually throw the ball closer to the hitter. If he's late at 94, just keep moving it in toward his bat. He's going away with it.
Up and away, and to the screen it goes. Mets are hosting Minnesota this weekend as you check out Max's count. Bartolo Colon for New York. St. Louis in the middle of a rough weekend road trip to San Francisco. Giants won yesterday, so that wild card race really something in the National League. Cubs clinched last night well after they lost the ball game.
I think he's going inside here, bud.
0-2. Yeah, the hard slider.
That's nasty. I don't know how you lay off that pitch. That ball's on the plate for about 55 feet, and the last 4 or 5 feet it darts inside. just a pitch he couldn't hit. That's why I think he should bust him inside with a fastball. Right up under his belt, right on the edge of the plate.
Perfect on the outside edge.
Or just paint it out there. That's why he's so good, folks. Just on the edge of the outside corner. He has power, he has breaking balls, he has changeups. But the thing that sets him apart from other pitchers as he's leading in whip, combination of hits and walks, added that up, leading all of baseball with his whip. He has that control and throw the ball where he wants to.
Here's the pitcher, Ryan Weber. And a nasty breaking ball to him. He's 0 for 3 this year.
He's like an artist, maestro, surgeon, whatever it is that takes an excellence and somehow elevates the game of pitching. He probably throws more pitches on the edge of the plate than anybody in the league. Seldom is he down the middle. You know, when he got into that home run deal early, he was leaving balls down the middle. And anybody, when you leave it down the middle, they can do something with it. But it's been a long time since he's left balls down the middle of the plate.
1-1 with 2 outs. Fastball up. Inside the Numbers brought to you by Jeep. So active pitchers with more than 250 strikeouts. And Max has been there, done that. So has Justin Verlander, his former teammate. And then Timmy Lincecum, 08-09 with the Giants. That's a lot of strikeouts in today's game.
You're not kidding, buddy.
Foul tip.
If you go back to it, the simplicity of it, thinking about it, major league hitters getting 3 strikes and not able to put the ball in play in those 3 strikes, and he's struck out 253 straight years. It tells you he's a little dominant, because it doesn't matter who's up there. If he makes his pitch, you're history.
1-2 to Gant, or rather to Weber now. Right down the middle. Strikeout number 3.
Oh.
So Scherzer 254 this year. Gives up a run, but he's got a cushion. 5-1 Washington. Welcome back to Turner Field in Atlanta. 5-6-1 Nats, 1-2-0 Braves. How about Bill and Teddy crashing your wedding? Explain why in an Instagram video why you'd like them to do that, and use the hashtag Nats Wedding Crashers. Do it by September 20th. You have 4 days. Your chance to win a visit from Bill and Teddy, $1,000 worth of Budweiser product, and a pair of matching Nats jerseys. Visit nationals.com/Wedding Crashers. What will they think of next? So, same do-ups as we had top of the second with Ryan Zimmerman, Stephen Drew, and Max Scherzer. Ryan, right on the heels of Ray's conversation about hitting the ball hard, did hit one sharply to Dansby Swanson. In there from Ryan Weber. Zimmerman 1 for 2 career against him. Up a little higher, still a strike. Breaking ball, left side, over to get it, Garcia. Next 5 ball games for the Nats. We will be back with you Sunday because Fox has the 1 o'clock game tomorrow. Gio going for the Nationals. Braves have been a little tardy in naming their starter. There's a possibility, we hear, that Joe Ross could be going on Sunday against Matt Whistler. And then it's on to Miami for 3. Brave Notes also not officially announcing their starter tomorrow. But we know it'll be Gio. He'll be looking for number 12. Clean shaven Gio Gonzalez.
Boy, it'd be nice to get Joe Ross back healthy.
That's a great stroke. Left side, but Swanson takes it away from Drew on a good swing and a better defensive play. 2 outs.
This kid can play. #1 pick out of the country for Arizona. Hit it a little bit on the end. Did you see that? Ball in on the end. Heard the bat crack. As a result, takes some of the sting off the ball. Line drive nonetheless. And a great play by, as I was going to say, #1 draft choice in the country. Played at Vanderbilt University, and they got him over here through trade with Miller.
Yeah, the Shelby Miller deal, Arizona. Here's Scherzer. He'll be swinging away with 2 outs, and that's strike 2. Max says, I'm going to try to get that run back with my bat they just scored. And Weber's going to pitch him nasty right there. A very quick top of the 3rd. Scherzer back to work. Nets on top. 5-1 over the Atlanta Braves. Hey, so smile, Dusty is. Great to have the skipper back. Anthony Rendon, Chris Spire got him evidently. Brian Goodwin. It's all brought to you by Dominion National, providing innovative, high-value dental and vision benefits to area employers and individuals. Smile. It's Friday. All right. They want to watch Max Scherzer get a 1-2-3 inning like Ryan Weber just did. Let's go inside the numbers, brought to you by PNC, and what the Nats have done to this division. 47-20, 23 out of 32 on the road, 8 of their last 10, and the run differential is absolutely ridiculous. Not like the home record's not great as well. I mean, highlighted by this 14-2 against this ball club, 14-5 against the Phillies, 12-7 against the Mets, 7-6 against Miami, 2 series left with the Fish.
Well, I don't want to hear what people say, well, this is a weak division. You know, they're Major League Baseball teams. They can beat you any day. I know that most of them have down years, but they're shooting for us. They know that by June, we were the dominant team in this league. So that's just, teams may have a down year, but you got to take advantage of that. Some teams don't. Our team has.
Looking for win number 88 tonight. Inciarte. It's a great off-speed pitch. Max right there to get it to Ryan Zimmerman. And now 4 of the last 5 since the Flowers RBI single. Adonis Garcia next. He hit a fly ball deep to center first time. The Braves have just been unable to win at home. They're 10 under on the road. At home, they win 1 out of every 3 games this year. 24-48.
That's filthy. 84-mile-an-hour slider. Starts it off on the plate about 6 inches and just don't have a bat long enough to hit it. Going out there again.
Another one. And so are you thinking triple up here?
All I know is I think he'll go inside hard before he goes back out again. Unless he thinks this guy's going to chase another one out there, which they say stick with what you're doing as long as you make that pitch as good as the prior one.
Yeah, Ramos sets up away. Then he just throws a fastball by him.
That's what I was thinking, just simply because you see a guy, he has 2 terrible swings. You've got 95 in your pocket. He's going to be, look how late he was. And Ramos even turned his head there. I hadn't seen that happen. He turns his head, but he just blows a fastball by him. Missed it. If he had to hit it, he hit it right above his thumb. That's how late he was on that pitch.
2 outs very quickly. Max Scherzer striking out 3 of his last 4 batters. Nick Markakis is next. He hit it on the button first time up. Line drive that sent Turner back. Then he drops a curveball on Nick for a strike. Markakis having a good year. 12 home runs. He's driven in 84.
Bust him inside.
There it is.
He just knows. Max, I've spoken to him several times this year about pitching, and he knows what their strengths are. But more than anything, he knows what his strength is.
That was an easy looking 95 right there. Markakis didn't like it.
Wasn't it? You know why? Because he saw that ball in. It was so close to him. He saw it well, but it just really pinched him. Now his eyes are thinking there. It's kind of called muscle memory. You think in, and then one's this little away looks too far out there. There's so much that goes on with a hitter. You can't quiet your mind sometimes. And the pitch that the pitcher throws, this pitch affects the next pitch.
2-2. Nick Markakis, a good swing. Jason Worth into the corner. That's a fair ball. It'll short hop at the 335 mark. The Nats have some doubles machines on their ball club in Murphy and Rendon. Nick Markakis, the Braves version of that. That's his 38th double of the year. Matt Kemp is next. And Kemp rifled one the opposite way, his first time up to right center. Arriving at 40 pitches. That ball with some run in on Kemp, strike two.
Sometimes the previous pitch dictates what you think is a hitter. This pitch is outside, he calls it a strike. Then he throws one way away. And then what is he going to look for? The same pitch. If you don't change a hitter's eye, his mind's eye, and you're out there, then he is going to cover that part of the plate if you don't bust him inside. So it's such a game. It's a game of cat and mouse, really. Hitters are thinking, pitchers are thinking, but if you stay in one place and you throw 2-3 pitches in that area, I promise you a hitter will get off of whatever he's thinking, especially if they call that pitch a strike out there and you have 2 strikes. Your mindset is, I'm going to cover that pitch. And he did. It wasn't a bad pitch.
One and two to Matt Kemp. Hit here makes it a 3-run game. It's an important out to get. And the breaking ball low and away, 2-2.
Yeah, I like the breaking ball for an inside out hitter. I like it away, working down, because he does drop his bat barrel, and it's pretty hard to stay on that ball and drive it. Now, you don't want to make a mistake middle in, because then that inside out swing becomes a power swing, because he ends up dropping that top hand on the ball.
Two, and he got him. 96. Inside edge. A 0 on the board, and here comes Trey Turner for his 3rd go-around. Turner scoring 2, driving into. 5-1 Nats. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And Ray with some highlights.
Well, he tries him with the fastball, 3-2. Look at the head down, bat extended. Left knee just strong. Set up. Middle in, happy zone. 400 and something feet out of here. I don't think you throw him a fastball middle in. I just see a lot of balls leaving the ballpark when you try him in there.
2 for 2 tonight. 22 for 49 against the Braves. Crazy what he's doing to some of these divisional teams that he sees a lot. He's making adjustments to them. There's no doubt about it. Turner against Weber, career 2 for 8. There it is. 449. Out ahead of that one, a chopper foul. And while we have a second, we want to wish a very special Nats fan happy birthday tonight. She's watching with her daughter Nancy. So happy birthday from all of us, the ball club. Mary Hyatt tuned in tonight. Very special friend of our own Harold Cardozo with the Nationals. And let's win one for Mary tonight in Atlanta. Happy birthday, Mary. Wish we were there with you, or wish you were here with us. Have a great one. That's a swing and a foul tip on a pitch up for the first out, 4th inning. Second consecutive strikeout by Ryan Weber.
As a young hitter, that's a tough pitch to lay off of. High fastball. Smart pitchers with guile, guys that understand hitting, know that hitters see the ball better when it's up, but you better make sure you get it up enough.
Jason Worth, 2 singles, 2 runs. Trying to get that batting average up over 250 again. 1-1. Weber throwing the ball pretty well. Hasn't given up a hit. 5 in a row retired after he hit Rendon with his first pitch. Runs that one back in there.
Tanner Roark-esque.
Good call.
Running fastball. About 2 miles an hour. Slower, but a lot of sideways movement late.
And Worth can't reach it except to tip it. 2 down with Daniel Murphy coming. So deep inside the numbers. He's been Murphy's Law for a lot of opposing pitchers this year, especially in the division. Look at the hit totals. And he only has 16 against Miami because the Nats have only played him 13 times. 6 more left for those guys.
Slumping against the Phillies.
Yeah, 319. That's horrible. 1 for 2 tonight. And against Weber this year. And career 2 for 5. I mean, inside pitches don't even faze him.
He has such a great idea. I'm convinced, watching him hit, that there are times when he dissects the plate and he goes up there looking for the ball middle away, the hole at bat. He scalds one to left field. And then there's times he goes up there looking for ball middle in. And you better not throw it in there. That's where he hits the home runs.
Breaking ball, he waits for it. Look out, guys. Scrambling some teammates at the outfield end of the dugout.
And a lot of people think, oh, that's just a late swing. Doesn't look that good. But for me, as a former hitting coach, I like it. I like the fact that he waited a long time. He recognized it, and he didn't try to pull it.
Off speed, great pitch. Weber strikes out the side. K's number 2, 3, and 4. 4th inning of Nationals baseball. Brought to you by the RAV4 Hybrid all-wheel drive and unexpected performance. Visit buyatoyota.com. Tonight, beautiful night in Atlanta. Scoreboard looking pretty good as well.
Max Scherzer doing what he does best. 7 strikeouts on the evening. Using his fastball, slider, changeup on occasion. Here you go, fastball, 96. Right up in there inside Ciarte. Then he gets Lolly. Here's another fastball. Gets Garcia. Cheese ball inside to Kemp. He is just throwing the ball 97, using his fastball more than his slider to put people out, put people away, bud.
So that's $37 times 5 to the Children's Inn at the National Institutes of Health. Thanks to the generosity of our Washington area Toyota dealers, helping children and their families with Toyota Case for Kids. And by the way, Ray, he's been so precise tonight. Only that first strikeout against Inciarte has not been a strike. He's had a couple of called third strikes, numbers 2 and 3. But those balls to Garcia and Kemp right on the edge. But your point's well taken because he's not anywhere near throwing the ball down the middle.
He is so special. You know, I think up here as I kind of reminisce back on the days when I saw all those great pitchers, starting really I think with Bob Gibson. You saw so much of him in St. Louis, but you know, they just have an ability to throw strikes, and it is so difficult. I was drafted as a pitcher, pitched all my life, shortstop. It is difficult day in and day out to throw strikes, and I don't care how much you work at it, but to throw 4 pitches for strikes time and time and time and time again, 32, 33 starts in the season, and get big league hitters out. Just a few of them that can do it, man. There's just a few of them that can do it. And every year you look at his whip, and he doesn't walk anybody. He just doesn't walk anybody. And you throw that hard with that much power and all of those choices to strike people out, and you just don't walk anybody? Mercy.
There's Gordon Beckham, who saw a lot of Max in the American League. When the White Sox of Beckham played the Tigers of Scherzer. 9 for 49 career against him with a pop up to short. First time tonight. Mets still lead 2-0 at home over Minnesota behind Bartolo Colon. They're in the bottom of the 6th already. And this ball lifted to right center, hit a long way. 2 guys though could have caught it, and it's Bryce Harper for the second out. Dansby Swanson is next. Turner Field in Atlanta, final year of this ballpark. So for baseball, after Sunday, we will not see it again. Braves will be in their new SunTrust ballpark up in northwest Atlanta starting next year, and they're down to 9.
Somebody just wanted to spend some money because this is an outstanding yard. It was always fun to manage, coach here, watch here. Fair ballpark. Everybody will say that it's a home run park, but that's not true. You got 390 feet in right center field, 380 in left center field. You have to hit the ball hard. Ball does carry here. Just know one thing, you've got a lot of room to roam in that center field out there.
Yeah. And that center field area, this ballpark will be a football stadium for Georgia State University.
Yeah, you look from here, all here and all back in here, all that. My goodness. You have to ride a horse to be able to run those balls down.
Well, Andrew Jones.
He did it pretty well.
I mean, that's his center field.
Oh, man. Bryce is playing everyone shallow tonight. He looks like he could throw somebody out at first base.
I think he wants to.
Is that what he's doing?
I think he wants
to. I've noticed him lately. He's right on top of everybody.
No swing, says Joe West. And the Nats as a unit were heading for the third base dugout.
That's what it says. Oh, I always call the front part of the plate. If that's the case, that's a strike.
Well, that means the bat's in fair territory, right?
Yep.
It's over the plate.
Exactly right.
2 balls, 2 strikes. That ball's well hit right field. Bryce Harper playing shallow, so it's over his head. One hopping the wall.
It was about 50 feet over his head.
Yeah, it's been the last week or so.
I've noticed it, Bob.
Yeah, FP and I talked about it at Nationals Park, where he's been really playing a shallow offside against these right-handed batters.
Well, some pitchers want that. They want that. They figure they make a pitch. The best they're going to do is they bloop it that way. And they feel better about, hey, I'm going to make a better pitch away that they're not going to be able to drive. And they don't feel they're going to make a mistake that somebody's going to hit over their head. So some pitchers direct their outfielder to play shallow and right.
All right, here's the first baseman, Blake Lawley. Struck out looking first time up. Right side, Murphy keeps it on the infield, and he'll get the out.
That's a nice play. Saves a run.
Daniel Murphy has given us some flashes of great defense at second base this year, and this is right up there in the top 3 or 4. Federal Credit Union Troop Recognition. Yeah, even when we're on the road. Navy Federal proudly serving the armed forces and their families for over 80 years. Federally insured by NCUA. Bob and Ray with you tonight and Sunday. Fox tomorrow. FP has the weekend off, and we're enjoying a nice evening in Atlanta. The Nats are trying to make it 15-2 against the Braves, and prior to this game, they've won 5 out of 6 here. Harper, Rendon, and Ramos. They didn't even have time to boo Bryce last time because they walked him intentionally. So he gets to hear about it here. Unintentional walk first inning. He's now been passed 105 times this year.
This kid's just throwing strike after strike after strike.
He is. He's been great. Bryce, by the way, walked 124 times last year. Weber's retired 7 in a row. The strike to ball ratio pretty good. Off speed.
31 pitches, 24 strikes. Most of his fastballs have been for strikes.
One and 2 to Harper. Way inside and low, ball 2.
Every pitch that I've seen him throw inside has been inside off the plate. So I think when they go inside, it's just for purpose. And now he'll either go changeup or fastball away.
Gets him with the 90 on the outer half. And Bryce Harper walks away. 5 strikeouts in a row by Weber. Mercedes-Benz Trexan.
I'm not sure how you take this pitch. He's throwing 3 out there. You have to be thinking that. He's not throwing the fastball in for a strike. So your mindset, just like Markakis, it kind of needs to go to the outside part of the plate. Bryce didn't even offer that. He had plenty of the plate.
Yeah, early in the season when he was doing a tremendous amount of damage, he was using that ballpark all the way to the left field line. That one tails in up in the zone on Anthony Rendon. 2-run single, hit by a pitch. So since Weber hit him, he's retired 8 straight. That ball is hit very well to right. Markakis can't quite make the play, but he did keep it in front of him. And Anthony Rendon's perfect night continues on a single.
Let's go back just for 1 second, just a thought before it gets too far away with Bryce. Bryce told me the first year he was here, then the second year we talked, and he told me that when he's right, and he knows he's right, and this is before he was the MVP, that he wanted to hit every ball to left center field. He felt that was his power field, wanted to hit the fastball that way, and then the breaking ball and the changeup set there for him, and he would pull that. He told me that when he got in trouble was when he started hitting the pitches middle away and pulling it, because then he knew he was drifting or spinning and that he was trying to hit the ball too far. And we have seen him throughout his career when he is at his best, just what you said, partner. He hammers that ball middle away to left center field. And then if he gets ahead in the count, 2-0, 2-1, then he can start pulling a little bit more, even though his swing and everything about his swing is a left center to right center swing. So all year long we've seen him take pitches away. We had a hot streak one time when he was hitting the ball away, but he just hasn't gotten down that timing yet to hit the ball like that the other way.
Yeah, look what Ramos does, and that's foul maybe by a foot or two. That ball gets into the corner. Anthony Rendon had a great chance to score because he was off with contact.
One last thought, because I don't want to get caught up in all this stuff. When you are looking at the baseball and you know where the outside part of the plate is, you have to see the outside part of the plate with 2 eyes. You have to turn your head and make sure that you're looking at the ball with 2 eyes. If you float with your head at all and turn your eyes away from the ball, you're only seeing the back side of the ball, and it looks like it's away to you, off the plate. And those balls that he's taking that are out there, I believe he thinks they're off the plate, because I think that his head is floating off the ball a little bit.
Well said, sir. Well, if there is a game 1 and it's at home, it's 3 weeks from today.
Wow, we're getting close.
So I mean, there's time for a couple of bats to start making some noise, but it is getting late. This is game number 147, 15 after tonight. There's another one that needs to get loud. Wilson Ramos definitely thinking the other way, at least so far in this at bat. He's pulled it to the shortstop twice. He's pulled it to the shortstop 3 times, and that's going to be the second for a double play. So Weber doing some kind of job. Ryan Weber saving the bullpen for the Braves. It's 1-4-0 Braves. Max Scherzer, pretty solid through 4. And running the bases isn't just for kids. Check out Thursday, September 29th. That's a 105 game against the Nats. So how about a midweek stroll around the bases for fans 60 and older? With the purchase of a special ticket, you can do that. So to get those stroll the bases tickets for you seniors, us seniors, visit nationals.com/seniorsstroll. Max Scherzer threw 4, 55 pitches, 37 strikes.
That's a pretty good ratio.
And Ryan Weber's up there to hit again. This is kind of turning into a start for him tonight. The Nats knocked John Gant all over the ballpark in an inning and 2/3. 6 hits, 5 runs, and now Weber has put a stop to that. Slider low and away, 1 ball, 1 strike.
I'm going to say temporarily stopped us.
Okay.
We've seen him enough now. We see what his sinker's doing. Doesn't have that good a breaking ball. Throws that changeup down. Sinker that's really good is down. So we need to look for the ball about belled high and hammering. It's easy, brother.
We shall
up
see.
Here.
Yeah, it's easy up here. It looks great. Outside
he's
edge.
only throwing 90.
Max Scherzer, strikeout number 6. Meanwhile, he just keeps on rolling after his 17th win of the year. Top of the order, Inciarte and Garcia. Only once in the last 6 seasons, including this, has Max won fewer than 16 games. That was 2 years ago when he went 14 and 12. 2.79 ERA, and he lost 12 games with it. Last year, actually, we lost 12 games with the Nats.
Well, there were 5 or 6 games that.
There's Drew, 2 outs.
That he should have won. You know, starting pitching is crazy. You get to that 6th inning, you have a 2-run lead, you go to the bullpen, and somebody gives it up, and you get a no decision. And you actually left the game winning.
Yeah.
Gio did that twice, trying to get his 10th win.
Well, Max has taken care of a lot of that on his own this year because this is his 31st start. In his previous 30, he's gone 6 innings at least 27 times. I mean, that's 90% of the time he goes 6, and he's gone at least 19 times.
Well, my brother, you're playing right into my hand. I did a lot of work today.
We're going to talk about this Cy Young thing, aren't we?
Yes, we are. I don't know when, but I'm going to make a point about those innings pitch per start.
I'm not going to let you start it, though, with 2 outs.
I'm only going to say one thing.
Okay.
Scherzer is second in the league with most innings pitched per start at 6.78, almost 7 innings per start.
That's impressive.
Johnny Cueto, 6.90. I will not get into the rest of it until you give me permission, sir.
All right.
But that is amazing.
Gold Gloves boxer asking me for permission to do something.
I love you, man. All that's history.
1 and 2 with 2 outs. But you've taken different categories and you've assigned numerical values to them, and we'll talk about that when we get back.
Right there. Look at that right there.
Tanner Roark, 275, Max 278.
Max is down lower than 278 right now.
And Kyle Hendricks almost threw a no-hitter the other night.
So everybody's talking Kyle Hendricks because he's 17 and 4.
Yeah.
You start looking at all the stuff that I looked at, I mean, he's having a great year, but guys are scoring 6 runs for him.
Yeah.
I might win 17 if they give 6. Right.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Huh?
Nah.
2 and 2 to Garcia. Be a nice idea to have Nick Markakis leading off next inning. And then Max turns one over to low and in, 3-2.
Remember last at bat, he threw the slider, and then busted him with the fastball. This at bat, he stayed with fastballs and just moved him in and out, and only has thrown one slider. I don't know if he's going to throw a 3-2 slider, but he was awful on him last at bat.
Fastball away.
Whoa!
Ryan Zimmerman playing well off the line. A spectacular play on the backhand side. Nothing that's happening with the bat has bothered Ryan Zimmerman's defense this year.
You have to see that to believe that play. Cat-like. Mercy.
Play by Ryan Zimmerman over at the other hot corner. Ray, you've played both sides. Give us the scoop on this.
Well, you don't hit him any harder than this. Even if you're a right-handed hitter, you don't hit him harder than that. And it's just, you say reaction. Look at him getting himself set like a tennis player, bouncing on the balls of his feet and then moving. I always like that. I liked an infielder to take a step or two back of the position that he was going to finish in and get to that spot, time it with the ball being passing home plate, hitting on those balls of the feet, and that way you're light and you can go either way. Ryan did it at third. He did it there. Just a great athletic play.
1-0 from Weber, and this one hit sharply left side, cut off by Swanson. First out, 6th inning. Continuing impressive pitching by Ryan Weber, 26 years of age. Drew and Scherzer, the next two here in the Washington 6th. Yeah, now we got guys going 0 for 2 against this right-hander. The Nats box score, all of it in the first 2 innings, really. Turner single, 2-run homer, 2 runs. Worth 2 singles, 2 runs. Murphy RBI number 103 and a double. Rendon got the first blow, a 2-run single, and Anthony 78 driven in. He's approaching his career high. So here's Drew, who has walked, scored, and then lined out to short on a great play by Swanson. And Drew drives it to the gap in left center. Ball carrying, and it's Matt Kemp's turn to make a great defensive play. Two defenses making some outstanding plays tonight.
I didn't think he was going to get to that ball, but it just kept curling back, curling back, curling back to him. He was smoked. He was shading him a little bit to left center. Matt doesn't run as well as he did when he was with the Dodgers. He's about 20 pounds heavier, actually. But that was a heck of a play. I didn't think he had a chance.
2 outs, and here's Max Scherzer. Strike one.
Just looking up Ryan Weber, pretty astonishing in his minor league career. He's 31 and 33, but only 92 walks and 576 innings. In one season, he's never walked over 16 batters.
Scherzer, and to his left is shortstop Swanson. 4 1/3 for Ryan Weber, gets this to the bottom of the 6th. Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Washington Nationals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the Washington Nationals. Yeah, things moving quickly in Atlanta on this Friday night. Nats fans trying to dial up a rally sometime soon. Getting ready to watch Max again. You can next year as well. Secure your 2016 postseason tickets and guarantee access to the 18 All-Star Game by purchasing a Nats Plus membership for 2017. Exclusive experiences, rewards, and access. 202-675-NATS or log on. Check it out, bottom of your screen. Max Scherzer, 68 pitches, 45 strikes. Appears to be stalking as he gets ready for the bottom of the 6th.
He started stalking, buddy. He has started to stalk.
Braves only run a Kemp double, a Flowers single back-to-back second inning. Since then, a Markakis third inning double. Never made it beyond second. And a fourth inning double, Dansby Swanson. He too stranded at second base. So a tough couple of customers here with Markakis and Kemp in front of the catcher Tyler Flowers.
Let's dissect this at bat. He hit the fastball away last time to left field.
Curveball for a strike.
So curveball for a strike. I don't think he will try to get him out away. I will tell you as it goes on how he's pitching him. Right now you would think that he would go hard inside. He's going away again. Way away. That's just a purpose pitch. And I would bet a nickel that he would go inside hard here. Or real soft.
1-1.
Yep. Hard slider. So right now he threw the breaking ball, which was a curve. That was a slider. The fastball away. So as a hitter, he's thrown me breaking balls, but he hasn't thrown me anything that makes me want to pull him. So as a hitter, I'm still looking away. and he throws it away. So now it's 3-1. I just look for one pitch in my area. For Markakis, that's kind of out away from him, middle, just above thigh high, a little bit more out away from him is what he likes to hit.
3-1 pitch. Max delivers and misses up and away.
Just never got there.
Second walk of the night. Markakis on for the second time.
That make any sense to you, Bubba?
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, based on what we saw with the double back in the third. So here's Kemp. He doubled to right center. Probably the hardest hit ball against Max tonight. So Markakis has an 8-game hitting streak, and so does Matt Kemp. That's a hard slider with a lot of late break.
That is so filthy.
Nissan will track it.
So watch the shortness of this slider. Boom. I mean, you don't see it as a hitter. You think it's a fastball. It's got a real tight spin. You don't pick the spin up until it's 3/4 way to you. And by that time, you've already committed your swing.
Yeah, ran out of bat on that one, didn't he?
He did.
Target in. That means heater.
Get it in there. I love that pitch. I don't think people throw in enough, Bob. It makes hitters start to think that they have to pull the ball, have to get the bat out front, and that just opens up low, opens up the outside part of play, and opens up elevation. If you make them think you're going to pitch them inside.
Kemp 15 double play balls this year. Ground ball. It's past Zimmerman. Ryan holding the runner. It just was too swift through the infield. And how about Matt Kemp going the other way for a couple of hits? First and third, nobody out.
Well, we talk about his inside out swing. This ball's middle of the plate. And just look at that. I mean, it is an ugly swing, but it's effective because he's only thinking about dropping the bat barrel late and hitting the ball the other way. You're better off throwing him up. It's easy to drop the barrel on a ball down that's running into you. But that's why he hits close to 300 every year. He's always been a guy that can hit the ball the other way, and when you do that, you're a tough out.
42 games here. Matt Kemp hitting around 285 now. High fly ball by Flowers. Harper getting back under it, short of the track. Markakis scores easily, and Kemp, with Bryce backtracking, reads it well and gets to second. That's a productive out. 5-2 ball game.
As an outfielder, go ahead and take another step back and get behind the ball. And instead of catching it over your left shoulder, you want to catch it over your right shoulder, staying behind the ball, catch it over your right shoulder. And that way you have a quicker exchange to your glove to your hand, and you're behind the ball and you can make a stronger throw.
Another runner in scoring position now. Breaking ball away from Gordon Beckham. That's a big 90 feet for Kemp because Beckham's hitting 12 double plays this year, and Max would certainly be thinking about that. Counts even, 1-1. Tripling up on the sliders here. So Max just now to 80 pitches.
He has a good one. He hasn't thrown it as much tonight as I've seen him throw it.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Lively crowd in Atlanta. Fireworks after the game. Their team was down 5-0. They are clawing their way back here. Beckham gets jammed, and that's out of play with a 96 heater. Nationals coming off an 8-2 homestand. Magic number is 7. Mets are ahead 3-0 now over Minnesota. Up and in with a heater. 97, foul tip, and that's number 7.
Can't do anything with that. There's not a man alive that can hit a ball 97 up around your chest. Look at this. When he just slings that thing, rears back, and look at him. He didn't like the fact that they scored a run in that inning.
Here's Dansby Swanson. He's had a perfect night, walking a double. Doubled over Bryce Harper's head last time, and Bryce still playing pretty shallow. Up the middle. Murphy keeps it on the infield. Did he do it again? Yes, he did.
What a play! Whoa, both ways.
Daniel Murphy has saved 2 runs tonight. First of all, by getting 2 shots up the middle, and now he's thrown out both hitters. Outstanding. How about defense from D. Murphy tonight? He's got the double to drive in a run, so we have a Bank of America alert. With the top of the 7th rolling around, let's talk about MVP candidates. Well, the Cubs have clinched. We'll see how the numbers may be affected if Bryant and Rizzo take a little time off over the next couple of weeks. Nolan Arenado of the Rockies still in there, and of course the guy leading all of them. I mean, look at the difference in the batting average. Leading everybody else by 50-some points has to count for something. Trey Turner, 3 for 4. First pitch swinging. He's tired of watching Ryan Weber get guys 0-2 or 1-2.
I think that's going to be, they're going to split the vote in Chicago with those 2 guys. And there's just, and I'm not biased about this. I've just seen it all year. Man can't have a better year. Without him, you know, we don't win. The Cubs, they have a tremendous amount of talent over there. You take one of those guys out of lineup, they can put somebody there that would have done not what Rizzo does or what Bryant does, but they have capable replacements over there. And with the pitching that they've had all year long, you can't take away from those kind of numbers. You also have to realize the ballpark they're playing in. You can add another 5 home runs for Murph if he was playing there. It's not about home runs. It's about the most valuable player in this league. I don't think anybody can, or anybody out there will say that Murphy hasn't had the best year of everybody. That batting average is huge.
Yep.
And driven in all those runs. Those other guys hitting right at 40 home runs don't have 100 yet.
Yeah, Rizzo has 101. He's the one guy who's made it.
Right.
That was Ian Kroll, the former Nationals farmhand. Turner on a pitch out.
No chance.
Not that close.
No chance.
Number 25 for Trey Turner. On a pitch out. Not that close. Some of the Braves are looking into the dugout. I don't know if Beckham thought maybe he got him on the back leg or something.
Good jump. Looks in. Gets there easily. He's already there before the tag's ever been made, so I don't think they're going to reverse this one. You know, the ones that they have reversed, me being back at the studio watching all of them, they were so close. They had that thing slowed down to where it was going like not even a frame. And when they tagged him, Bob, and I know you saw it, but we saw over and over and over again, you're talking about inch, 2 inches. And you just say, golly, man, I don't know if I like this replay.
25 out of 29 on the year now.
Because there's no way the human eye can distinguish the difference.
So Turner, Worth, Murphy in this inning. Maybe Harper. Seeing Weber for the first or second time around now. By the way, .451 Trey Turner's batting average against the Braves with a 3-for-4 night.
It's not too shabby, man. He hits every kind of pitcher, right, left, fastballs, sliders. He's been able to lay off the changeup for the most part.
Jason, a good night, 2 for 3. Looking for RBI number 63. Trey Turner getting on, getting in scoring position so quickly in the inning. And now Worth will go to right. It's not deep enough to advance Trey. Markakis for the first out.
Right idea, though. Right idea. You see that happen all the time with Jason. He gives himself up trying to hit behind the runner.
And Brian Snitker is going to go get Ryan Weber. He should leave to a great ovation. What a night he had. And it'll be Ian Kroll for Daniel Murphy. This will be a well-deserved ovation as he walks off. Max Scherzer taking care of his business. Now the ball club trying to get a 4-run lead back or more, top 7 in Atlanta. Ian Kroll went 2-1 as a rookie for the Nationals in 2013. 3.95 ERA, 32 games that year. The Nats had obtained him from Oakland. He was a 7th rounder with the A's back in 09. Out of the Chicago area, and here he is to face Daniel Murphy, who is 1 for 5 against him, but a couple of RBIs this year.
A lot of breaking balls.
57th appearance for Atlanta. Off the heel of the mid of Tyler Flowers, and Trey Turner eyeballing that one, staying put.
He pitched against us, and he was at 95 miles an hour for 4 or 5 pitches, and then he started throwing nothing but breaking balls. So getting it up there for a left-hander, and a ball really runs.
Good take by Murphy, 2-0.
So he goes 94 fastball, 89 fastball.
Even with the shortstop, Swanson keeping Trey close. He still moves around, gives the pitcher something to consider. And then as the pitch was about to be delivered, Swanson retreated deeper at short.
Yeah, so far he gives him 2 looks. He gives him a look as he comes up to a set position, just a quick look. Then he pauses for about a second or 2, then looks back there again, and then goes. If he does that 2 or 3 or 4 times, and that's just his habit, Trey will figure that out, and as soon as that head starts to turn, he'll take off. Let's see if he looks back there twice. Right away, he looks home. He didn't do it that time.
Turner running, pitch low. He is safe. Trey Turner, 2nd and 3rd, and he's there with 1 out, and that's number 26 out of 30.
You can't stop this kid, because they had him in a position where he doesn't even have a secondary lead. You take your primary lead, which is about 4 steps off a second, when the shortstop is right behind you, and then your secondary is as the pitcher comes up and you feel the shortstop leave. Third base coach says you're all right.
Infield in, now 3-2, but who steals third base anymore when there's a left-handed batter?
No, not
there's
not
nothing there
people
for the catcher to be in his way.
No.
3-2 to Murphy. Infield in, 1 out. Nats trying to get a 4-run lead back. Murphy to left. That ball's well hit. Kemp. And here comes Turner. Just cut it off. Forget about it.
Anymore.
The Nats lead 6-2. And for Daniel Murphy, a 2 RBI night equals 104.
And that is all Trey Turner. And a little bit of Daniel Murphy. But how many times have we seen him set up innings like that? There's nothing better as a hitter to have that runner on third base with less than 2 outs.
Yeah.
Infield in. That makes Daniel a 453 hitter.
Well, I mean, that's when you walk over to the guy in the dugout and say, thanks, man.
Thank you, man.
My line drive to left just turned into
Sack
an RBI
fly.
without an official at bat. So here's Harper. Bryce 1 for 2 against Ian Kroll. Tonight, walk in the first, intentional walk in the second. And then on that pitch away from Ryan Weber, who, by the way, we closed the book on him. 1 run, 2 hits, 4 2/3. He took that pitch for a strike. Ball bounces, 2-0. Without Ryan Weber, this ball game could have gotten way out of hand in a hurry. Harper hits it hard. Pitcher's glove slows it down for Swanson. That's a 1-6-3. But thanks to Trey Turner's amazing speed and baseball instincts, the Murphy sac fly makes it a 6-2 game. Baseball diamond, single, steal, steal, sac fly. He's home, and it's 6-2 Washington, and Daniel Murphy has 104 runs batted in. So bottom 7 for the Braves. Blake Lawley, first baseman, leads off. Malik Smith, speedy outfielder, on deck. Strike one. For Max, 85 pitches, 56 strikes. Tried to drop that hook in there. All right, Ray. Cy Young talk.
All right, buddy.
Because you've got this system. You've got, first of all, what are the categories where you assign points?
I started right at the get-go with games started, and then went to innings pitched and figured how many innings a person went per start, earned run average, strikeouts, WAR.
That ball spinning. Drew, backhand. Ryan Zimmerman, another great pick. An amazing night for Ryan at first base. One out.
He looks good over there. Whip and quality starts. And only thing that I did, I just assigned a number to each one of them. Look at his play here. Great job up the middle. Backhands the ball the way you should. Throws the ball to first base. Hasn't played a lot of shortstop this year, and hasn't played a lot in the last month because of that vertigo problem, but he knows how to play. And all I did was assign a number. If you were first, you got a 1. If you were second, you got a 2, and third, you got 3, and worked it right on down. And it ended up, after about 2 hours of work, that Scherzer totaled 18 points, and that's because he had strikeouts the lead there, so that was a first place. WAR, he had the lead there by a lot, first place. Whip, he had the lead there, first place. He was second in games started. He was third in innings pitched. Now he's first in innings pitched after tonight's game. And in innings pitched per start, which I think is critical, and I allowed 2 points on that. Johnny Cueto is 6.90 and Scherzer 6.78. So there's two guys And then the rest of the people are less than 6 2/3. Bumgarner, Arrieta, Roark's there. So after all this deal, assigning a point and digressing as you were lowered down the category, Scherzer ended up with just 18 points because he had 3 first-place votes, 2 second-place votes, a third-place vote, and the farthest he finished out of any category was 6th.
That ball inside and a base hit by Inciarte. Malik Smith, who got the pinch single, stops at second.
So to speed this thing up, Lester was second with 22, but he only had 1 category which he was first in. And then the next guy was Cueto with 28 points. And I went through this thing extensively, and everybody's been talking about Hendricks and Arrieta. I've heard Syndergaard, and of course Bumgarner. Bumgarner was 4th in my breakdown. Arrieta was 5th, and Hendricks was all the way with 57 points, 6th. Syndergaard was next. So based upon numbers and who dominated the league, Scherzer is by far the winner of the Cy Young if he continues to pitch the way he pitches.
Well done.
So, you know, you've got, what, 3 more starts? And I guess with Scherzer, Cueto, and Lester, if one of those guys just burns it up the last 3 games, I think Max has to get another win, don't you? This win would be huge.
Sure. Well, I like the fact that you've looked at a lot of different categories, and I like the endurance numbers too. The number of starts, the innings.
I do too, Bob.
To me, that's what a horse and a Cy Young winner is all about. A guy from post to post who leads your pitching staff and your ball club.
Yeah, I like that, man.
0-2 to Garcia. 1 out, 2 men aboard. And Max almost threw that ball away, and Wilson Ramos made quite a pick.
And the last thing I will say on that, using what you just said, tonight Max will tie Bumgarner for the most starts. He passes Cueto and Bumgarner with innings pitched, and he goes to, he's still number 2 with 6.78, but only 11th 100ths of a point behind Cueto, who's gone 6.90. So those 3 categories, he's 1-1 and a real close 2.
1-2 to Garcia. Swing and a miss. Max Scherzer, strikeout number 8, number 259, and quite a matchup coming up here with Nick Markakis.
That killer slider. Nobody's going to hit that slider. I don't care who. They can bring Willie Mays back, Hank Aaron, any of those guys. They're not going to hit that slider.
Ray Knight, bring him back.
I'm not going to hit that slider. I hope I can take it and it goes off the plate for a ball, because I'm not going to hit it.
Well, how big does the Nats run in the 7th look now as a hot-hitting Nick Markakis steps in a 4-run game, not 3? Scherzer gets the strike on the inside edge.
He can't handle that pitch.
And by the way, Max 1 out away from going at least 7 for the 20th time this year.
That's going to push him up a little bit.
Yeah.
6.78. Push it up a little bit.
And that's a slider that Nick Markakis hit on almost a 45-degree angle to the right. Kind of like Danny Espinosa's done at home a few times.
Well, when it bores in on you, you can't hit it hard unless you hit it way out front, because it just keeps coming at you. It's kind of like one of those yellow jackets down in South Georgia. They come at you when you get in one of their holes. You better not. Better have a net on.
0-2 now. This will be interesting. Fastball up. Eye level changed. Ball 1.
A great pitch right now for me, and shoot, I'm sitting up here a long way away, but He was so far ahead of the slider. Tells me that after the fastball in, that he was looking hard. And I haven't seen him throw him a changeup yet. And if he is thinking now about quickness, that changeup's an excellent pitch.
Markakis, 2 hard hit balls tonight. Line drive to center in the first. Long fly ball for a double down the left field line in the third. Max walked him in the 6th.
Could be his last hitter, no matter what, Bob.
Six-2 Nationals, bottom of the 7th. Out hitting the Braves just 8-7. This inning's the second time tonight they've had back-to-back hits against Max Scherzer.
'97 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that was elevated. That's a good job by Markakis to get to that.
From what I've seen, and I could be wrong, the way that he went at that ball that was right at his belt, the first pitch, if Max can get it there, belt high, inside corner, pinch him, I don't think he can get to that fastball.
Goes slider. That slider cutter thing, as FP calls it. Sometimes you think 90 is too hard to be a slider. And the count is 2-2. Mercedes-Benz will show us the at bat as Mike Maddox continues to study his ace.
See, everything up. So far, everything up except the one pitch. So a pitch hard right there where that pink is.
Boy, Nick Markakis really seeing the ball well.
And
runners will be moving on a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs. Yeah, he's about the only reason that Max Scherzer's pitch count is where it is.
Yeah, man. I think he's probably going to come with that Diesel Express.
Number 104 coming here.
You know what he does? He keeps going into his glove with a change-up grip, and then he changes it. So on his mind, he looks like, I don't see it there. Look, that's a change-up grip. So even have the ball on the inside of that. That's not a breaking ball grip. It's either a four-seamer or a changeup.
And he gets the fly ball to right on a 96 fastball. Scherzer doesn't even turn around hardly to look at Harper catch the ball. He knew the 7th inning was over. Beautiful. Another great outing for Max Scherzer. 4-run lead. greater coverage of baseball. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Jacob deGrom may be pitching this weekend. He's scheduled to start against Minnesota. Mets at home. Hanley Ramirez last night against the Yankees kept things going for the Red Sox, who now have a 2-game lead over Baltimore and Toronto. And the Cubs, first National League Central title since '08. And they won that at about midnight last night after their game was long over. Then they celebrated after a walk-off win today. Watch the drive to the pennant with MLB.TV Premium. Every out-of-market game live in HD on more than 400 supported devices. You can enjoy a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV. 29-year-old Chaz Rowe, 9 games with the Orioles this year before coming over to Atlanta. This will be his 16th appearance, and Anthony Rendon is waiting for him. Yeah, look at that. Righty's only 130. Rendon part of that, 0 for 2 this year against the right-hander. A lot of bend to that 83, and it ends up outside. Anthony, a perfect night. 2-run single first inning, hit by a pitch. Base hit to right in the 5th, off the glove of Markakis.
I don't think Anthony's had a bad swing in the last month. He's on everything. That breaking ball he hit to left field that first at bat was a dandy breaking ball. It didn't fool him. He just stayed with it, followed it all the way to the plate, and squared it up like he's done so many times.
One pitch. Front door on the breaker, and it's 1-2. Mets game's gone final. Bartolo Colon beats Minnesota 3-0 Mets. So the best the Nats can do tonight would be to win, get that magic number down to 6. Rendon strikes out on another hook. 1 out, 8th inning. And when you have insight, you know how to handle your finances with confidence. Brought to you by PNC Bank. For the achiever in you. Austin Voth, heard a lot about him this year. He's a strikeout guy. So 5th in the IL with the Chiefs, and Matt Skoll had a good AAA season as well. Good for him. Saw him do some hacking in spring training. 78 RBIs for Syracuse. Ramos 2 for 3, 2 homers against Chaz Rowe, so he's up there pumping. Wilson, a rough night. 2 double play balls, another grounder, all of those to the shortstop.
So a lot of breaking balls starting on the inside corner of the plate and just catching the inside edge. Hitters not used to that.
I like Anthony Rendon's chance of being in the Nats' 6th 20 home run guy.
Oh yeah,
The way he's swinging.
it's a lot of power, man. This lineup, tough lineup to get through. I don't know that we have been hot as a team up and down the lineup with everyone swinging the bat at the same time all year long. That doesn't happen that often, but it does happen. Maybe we're going to do that starting about October the 3rd, 4th.
That would be lovely. Chaz Rowe dropping nasty hooks on everybody. 2 outs here. Zimmerman next.
I think sometimes, Bob, where this organization has come from when we got here, you before me, but 10 years for me, and I've watched all these people develop. And sometimes I look out there and I remember Ryan Zimmerman being the only star we had.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the only star. I mean, there were just a bunch of players that we picked up, hoped that they would be okay, had been brought here by Jim Bowden. And then Mike Rizzo takes over, great drafts. Mr. Lerner, they spend money, they do whatever they can to try to make this ball club contenders. And now you look out there and we have stars in almost every position.
They've got a screen here in Atlanta that is really close to home plate, and it's really tall, and I knew this was going to happen. The ball hit the screen and came back and hit Ryan Zimmerman right in the head, or close to it. I mean, that thing goes straight up behind home plate.
Yeah, and it's
look out,
pulled pretty tightly.
All right. Now hit one over a yellow line somewhere. Not easy to do the way Chaz Rowe's throwing. 0-2. He even moves guys off the plate with his breaking ball.
I don't believe he's trying to throw the ball in there.
Well, Ryan Zimmerman was 20 years old when he was called up in September of 05. Hard to believe it's 11 years later. There's another hook. Chaz Captain Hook Rowe takes care of the Nats in the top of the 8th. Matt Kemp coming. We promised earlier tonight. It's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And Ray, defense behind Max Scherzer, Murphy and Zimmerman amazing tonight.
Murphy great going to his left, Zimmerman like a cat making a play on a bullet to the right, and then Murphy, here you see the replay, and then Murphy again on a ball hit up the middle, one of the hardest plays for a second baseman to make, going that hard away and then being able to turn and get yourself aligned enough to throw it accurately. Great pick by Zim. He's been picking everything tonight. Pitching and defense, ladies and gentlemen, that will win some pennants for you.
Blake Treinen, 67th appearance now. 4-1, 62 innings, only 45 hits. You talk about somebody who's hard to hit. 57 Ks and 28 walks. Blake Treinen this year, his opponent's batting average is .218. Just for the sake of comparison, it's the same as Steven Strasburg's when he was healthy and pitching so well. So it's Treinen against Kemp, Flowers, and Beckham. Matt Kemp 4 for 10 against Blake Treinen, so he's been able to deal with some of those hard sinkers and the nasty slider. Kemp tonight 2 for 3 against Max. 2 opposite field hits, a double, a single. Scherzer 104 pitches, 68 strikes. 2 runs on 7 hits in 7 innings. Walked 2, struck out 8. Way inside 2-0. Mark Melancon starting his routine earlier than any closer we have ever seen. Is this going to be thrown or held on to? No ball. It's in the glove.
Yeah, it's not even a save situation yet.
Well, we've seen Dusty have him up a lot over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
When the Nats have had some 4-run leads.
Yeah. Dusty wants to close this thing out.
Sean Kelly umpiring. Now they're talking mechanics and delivery and all that. 8th inning guy, 9th inning guy. Tonight it's Treinen in the 8th. And now Blake battles back to even that count 2-2. Some kind of bullpen this has turned into. I think Mark Melancon coming over, and there's Shea Simmons for the Braves. It put everybody back in their slots where they were at their best. Look at that slider. 88 with all that hook, 1 out.
I think his slider probably has more break, more quick break. Look at this. It starts right about knee high and ends up on the ground. And some serious spin on it. Gets on top of that thing and just jerks it down. From top to bottom, I do believe he has more depth than anybody.
Here's Tyler Flowers, the catcher. 1 for 4 against Treinen. And when you swing and it's 96 and then it's not there, what do you do?
Well, 96 inside like that, it feels like 98, 99. If you throw that same pitch away at 96, then you see it longer and it doesn't seem 96. But when they're inside, because you just got to get the bat barrel out so far in front of the plate to hit it solidly. He has really come on, this man. He's always had the great stuff. Earlier on, the inexperience, sometimes he would get excited. He couldn't control that excitement. He would pick bunts up and throw it away. He would struggle to throw strikes, but now he believes he belongs. His emotions, he's begun to show them when he gets excited. And that's a sign of a guy that feels comfortable where he is.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Starting tonight, the Nationals bullpen sporting a 3.22 ERA. And as a group, only getting hit to the tune of 232. Now that is a large group. Ned Latos out there hanging around with the guys. On the lineup card, Lucas Giolito listed in the pen, as well as Lopez, Reynaldo Lopez.
These guys are not hard to catch. Ramos, I mean, think of the guys he had to catch. Strauss throws 97. Treinen can throw 97, 98. Scherzer, right there, movement everywhere. Glover gets beat up. Ball's moving everywhere. This is not an easy staff to catch. That tells you why we lead the league in bullpen earning average, and right there, second in the league.
Strike 3 call. Flowers thought it was low.
No.
And Blake Treinen, who had him 0-2, then went to 3-2, strikes out his second man.
Got to realize it's the front of the plate. What's right here mean, that ball isn't close to being low.
What a dart.
When it gets, when it gets back to the catcher and he's battling it to backhand that heavy sinker, it may look low, but that thing's on a downward trajectory.
Mark Zepchinski. So here's Beckham, who's 0 for 3. He'll stroke one to right, and Bryce Harper playing shallow. It's over his head. Beckham's going to pull into second with a 2-out double.
Well, we're going to see this again. I'm just going to make an observation. In the big leagues, these guys can drive the ball. I mean, you're not talking about people that just hit the ball 200 feet. And you might play the pitcher out there at 250 feet. But I felt all night long, and I felt in some games at home, that he's just playing so shallow. I don't know. When you look out there, it's shocking that he's so shallow. I don't know who made him that shallow, who put him in there. I don't know. But
all right. Well, here's Dansby Swanson. And that ball low.
I mean, when you look at that, he has to cover 80, 90 feet over his head. I don't.
Yeah, Swanson, the other guy to hit one out there tonight, a 4th inning double with 2 outs.
It didn't matter where he was playing on that, because that ball was off the wall. But you know, we talked about it, and he's backing up a little bit.
Well, the Braves with a base hit here could make it a 9th inning save situation. Blake Trinan, though, so hard to hit. So he buries the slider. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, thanks to Max, not a whole lot happening with runners in scoring position for Atlanta.
Nice block.
Hard to catch indeed. Your point well taken.
Remember when he had Aaron Barrett with that slider and the sinker, and you know, these young pitchers, they have a tough time throwing the ball in the same area. You know, their release point, they struggle sometimes to find it.
Ramos trying to frame it, didn't quite make it back.
I think this ball may be a little outside. Yeah. Not much.
Payoff pitch. Swing and a miss.
What a baby.
Blake Trinan gave up a double, struck out the other 3 guys. And this one into the 9th inning. The Nats trying to get this weekend off to a great start. Nationals baseball on Masson, brought to you by Roy Rogers. Check out their lineup: roast beef, fried chicken, and burgers. Visit RoyRogersRestaurants.com. And by Joe's Seafood, Prime Steak, and Stone Crab. Talking about that, the 8th inning is really difficult for us. Love to go to Joe's after this one. And for every Nationals walk this year, just been a bunch of them early tonight. It's $50 every time to support Girls on the Run DC. So this year the Nats approaching 500 walks and approaching $25,000. CareFirst Blue Cross Blue Shield wants all of us to take that first step towards a healthier and more active lifestyle. Go for a walk. 26-year-old Shea Simmons under a harvest moon here in Atlanta. It'll be his 27th appearance. Actually, that's how many he appeared in a couple of years ago for the Braves. Back from a lot of time in the minor leagues, and this will be appearance number 6. The Nats have seen him a bit here. Stephen Drew leads off.
Stevens hit the ball hard tonight. Line drive to short. Line drive to left on a diving play out there. He's been a good pickup for this club, hasn't he?
Fantastic. Liked it from the moment I heard about it, because we've seen him play every day in the other league. And there's Brian Goodwin, and of course Steven with Arizona for a number of years. Hayhira, Georgia. How far from here is that, Ray?
It says 200 miles south. It's just about 20 miles north of Valdosta. Straight down 75. It's about 20 miles from the Florida line.
And his older brother JD still lives there.
Yeah.
Steven used to hang around JD's locker when older brother was a young major leaguer. In high school, you used to spend his summers with big brother. Not a bad gig.
They were the talk of that area. They both went to FSU. They thought JD, they said he was the next Mickey Mantle. He could flat out hit.
Yeah. Yeah, it was odd because JD came up in '98, and suddenly he's a teammate of Mark McGwire hitting all those home runs.
Yeah. Well, that's right. He came up with the Cardinals, didn't he?
Yeah. His older brother, Stevens, his numbers were very similar to a kid named Musial back in the 40s, and then the comparison started, and those were pretty lofty.
I don't think he liked it either.
No, he didn't.
He's a quiet kid. He didn't like it.
Well, that's a nice sound. Stevens on for the second time tonight. The Drew family can flat out hit. Celebrate the fun, whimsical side of the political season with election night at Nationals Park Friday the 30th. First 25,000 fans will receive their choice of a Nationals branded donkey or elephant mascot figurine while supplies last. Whoever has the most left at the end of the night is the loser, so you better come and pick them up. For details and tickets, nationals.com/election night. Now that will be fun. Strike called to Brian Goodwin, who is 0 for 1 against Simmons. It looks like Sean Kelly, because the Nats are up by 4, will start the 9th. Way outside, 1-1.
This kid has swung the bat well also. Called on to pinch hit. Looks like a real good outfielder. Runs well. Good discipline at the plate. Very quick bat. Hits the ball sharply.
Yeah, 2 for 4 as a pinch hitter. That's a good swing.
Is that a quick swing? That's buggy whip swing. Watch how quick this bat gets through the zone. Boom. Can't even see the barrel. That's a pretty swing right there. Not a whole lot of effort to get it there either.
Bryant hit .284 at Syracuse this year. 11 homers, drove in 62, stole 14 bases. First time we saw him was August 6th when Ryan Zimmerman had that wrist injury. Then he came back 1st of September. 1-2, and he stays alive on that curveball coming in on his hands.
Looking at the way this team has been put together over the last 4 years especially, it amazes me some of the players that we've been able to acquire. Take Max Scherzer, in my opinion, the best pitcher in baseball. You get Murphy, who had a great year last year and now MVP candidate.
Off speed, Goodwin pops it up and hopes it gets out of play. It will.
The acquisitions of Trey Turner, Joe Ross, in deals that for people that are just extra pieces, and you can go on and on and on. Wilson Ramos and Mike Rizzo, they have done an unbelievable job in putting together an organization with good people that have very high integrity players, creating that credibility, and it's just been fun to watch. And I've been impressed with the way the ball club operates and how they're able to get these players, and they play well here.
2-2 to Goodwin, having a good at bat. Ball 3. In the driver's seat, brought to you by Kia. As soon as something happens here on the Goodwin at bat,
something's going to happen right here. Something's going to happen right here.
Stays alive.
Call it 5-all.
Well, you know, Anthony Rendon drafted when he wasn't the healthiest player out there.
Yeah, and Giolito drafted
same thing,
high with that. I mean, they have just made some brilliant moves, and as Rizzo always says, due diligence. He's got a bunch of folks up there that understand the game and understand makeup. And this kid right here, drafted, hasn't really done what they expected him to do offensively. This year he came on and had a really good year. He looks like a big league player to me.
Well, Bryant's 25, been in the organization a long time. 34th overall player taken back in 11. Originally drafted by the White Sox, didn't sign with them. Went to college. Rips one. Nice pick. Beckham. And at first, out. Joe West craning his neck to make sure that Blake Lawley still had hold of the baseball. It's quite a 4.63, and now we have Kia in the driver's seat. And yeah, who would you want driving more than Trey Turner, Ray? And he got it going tonight with that infield hit.
Well, he hits a sinker, uses his speed, then comes back and hits a P to left field, way back there. Home run. So now he's a single double, still second, using the speed again. Just a dynamic player. Then he gets up there, steals third base. Like you said, nobody steals third base with a left-handed hitter, but Trey does. And he got another big base hit later on. 3 knocks on the night. Came in at 340. I guess he's about 346 or 7.
He is at 347.
What a fun player to watch. 3 runs scored tonight.
Turner 1 for 1 against the right-hander Shea Simmons. Well, that was a quick double play with a guy like Goodwin running. Dansby Swanson making that relay and that turn. 2-0. He held, but it was a called strike, 2-1.
He doesn't want to swing at that pitch. I mean, I've seen him hit it. I've seen him hit it out of the park, but running in on him. If he throws it there again, you might hear a loud bang.
He waits for that one. He hits it to left. Did he get enough? It is over the glove of Matt Kemp and over the wall for a ground rule double. So a 4-hit night for Trey Turner.
They don't think he can hit that fastball in there. I don't know. I know he can. He tries to go in there again. Same pitch he took. But quick as bat. His bat's as quick as anybody's, and he doesn't force it. He just tries, gets it started, cocks it a little bit, but when it comes out of that cock, it's flying.
Trey Turner is now hitting .462 against Atlanta Braves pitching this year.
And that gets him about to 350, I think.
I know. So check out those two guys in that shot. And think about how long they might be battling in the National League East. A couple of outstanding young players.
Bona fide stars.
Yeah, Trey about a year ahead of Swanson and getting to the big leagues.
Well, you know, they played against other. One at Vanderbilt, one at North Carolina State.
I'm sure each set of fans would say, I'll take my guy, and that's just fine.
Well, I don't think either set would be wrong. I'm just glad we're Nats fans.
Can't wait to see that guy play a whole season.
I don't see any difference between him and Mike Trout. Everybody knows how great Mike Trout is. Power. Mike Trout has that power that you know of. You've seen it. A lot thicker body. But Trey can run with him. Trout maybe he has a little better arm, but there's no way he's going to cover more ground. Trey's going to be as good as he is in center field. As a hitter, they both look similar as far as their ability to get on base. And so the question is power. Now, he's a 5'2" player because he charges the ball well. I think of all the tools, the fifth tool, his arm, is the one that is just fringe 5 tool. It's not a bad arm. It's not a great arm.
It's accurate.
It's accurate, and he gets rid of it quickly, and he can make it stronger.
Jason Worth to left. Turner will scamper home, scoring his 4th run of the night. So Trey Turner has 3 4-hit games this year. Jason Worth has a 3-hit game tonight. That's number 63 for Worth.
He's having a good year. His batting average isn't showing it, but he just does it at the right time. All year long, just at the right time. Where you need a hit, you need somebody to get on base, get a guy over. He's a ball player.
3 hits given up by Simmons. He's done. Their other lefty is Jed Bradley. for the 8-0 Braves. How about Jason Worth and Trey Turner? 7 hits tonight. Tune into the Nats Extra postgame show. Johnny Holiday with Phil Wood. WB Mason presents it when this one is over.
7 hits, 6 runs.
So Jed Bradley, 5th appearance, 26-year-old lefty out of Huntsville, Alabama. He went to Georgia Tech, and Milwaukee made him their first pick, 15th overall 5 years ago. Braves purchased him from Milwaukee June 2nd of this year. Murphy has faced him. He's 1 for 1. 3 hits in the inning. The double play has kept it from being an even bigger frame.
And that ball was roped.
Yeah, Jason Worth 3 for 5 tonight. And Murphy's going to drop one to left. And it's a 2 for 4 night for Murphy. With a sac fly, 2 runs batted in. Daniel Murphy has 183 hits.
And that's not by accident, y'all. You see him hit the ball that way. When there's a left-hander out there, he has a plan. He just has a plan. His plan is, I'm going the other way. I'm going to create an angle that allows me to stay on the ball as long as I can. I'm not going to yield. I'm not going to give any way toward first base. And I'm just going to stroke the ball the other way. And then once the at-bat gets deep and he's seen pitches, then he may then change, but he just has an idea every at-bat.
Bryce Harper 0 for 2 tonight, couple of walks. 1 at-bat against Bradley this year, a base on balls. So Daniel Murphy and Trey Turner are both hitting .349 right now. How about that? Murphy goes 2 for 4. His batting average goes up 1 point.
Come on, Bryce. Get the ball you want right here and just drill it, buddy. I just want him to get hot so bad. Just for him.
Well, Bryce's last hit I have last Saturday, the 3-run homer that beat the Phillies 3-0. That was in the 8th inning 6 days ago. Now, he did get walked a bunch in the Mets series, twice already here tonight. But Bryce wants bat on ball to do some damage. And that one softly to the shortstop, and that's it for the top of the 9th. But the Nats, an add-on run. They've done a good job of that, and they are beyond slam range at 7-2. 7-12-1 for the Nats. 2-8-0 Braves. Sean Kelly, 5-run lead in there to close this thing out. Get ready for a day game tomorrow for Sean's 61st appearance. It's a new career high for him. 51 innings, only 40 hits, 73 strikeouts. Impressive numbers. Righties 193, lefties not that great. Is everything rolling for this 32-year-old veteran who's been a huge addition to the Nats bullpen? First up, Blake Lawley, the rookie. And there's Anthony Recker, one of the Braves catchers. This one out to left center. Trey Turner going a ways for it. Just looking so comfortable in center field. One out.
He just outruns the ball. You know, ball's hit, he takes off, outruns it.
So an update of the standings. Mets won their ball game, as we mentioned. Bartolo Colon, 3-0 win over Minnesota tonight. The Nats trying to add their 88th win to go 10 up again, and the magic number would be 6. Day game tomorrow. It's on Fox. Gio pitching. Ray and I will be back with you on Sunday afternoon.
I'm going to be down there watching. I ain't got anything better to do than watch a baseball game, because I love this game, Bob.
I think we all can tell that.
Game. I will be watching the Georgia Bulldogs at 7:30 though.
Who are they playing?
Missouri. They didn't look so good against Nicholas State.
Yeah, I think Max Scherzer and you might have a little debate about that one.
Yeah, we're going to talk. We're going to talk.
2 balls, 1 strike. I have to tell the folks, a couple of years ago we were on the road. I forget where. Georgia was playing in the middle of the afternoon, and through my wall came the loudest bulldog noises I've ever heard. Like, what's going on? Oh yeah, Ray's watching Georgia.
I get out of control, man.
Yeah, well. Will it be Joe Ross? We'll find out soon. How good would it look for everybody to see him back on the mound? Anthony Recker down on strikes, and Sean Kelly getting it done. 2 outs, and the Nats 1 out away from their 15th win in 17 games against Atlanta. And if you want to stretch it out a little farther, if they win tonight, they'd be 29-4 against the Braves in the last 33. That's crazy.
Oh my goodness. That is a wow.
Yeah, it's nuts. Top of the order, Ender Inciarte broke out of an 0 for 10 with a base hit last time. That was against Max back in the 7th. Scherzer about to go 17-7. And close to a swing. It was a swing. Kerwin Danley at third says.
I want to make one quick statement. When there's been ball clubs that I've been on that other teams didn't want to play, they just felt like they couldn't beat you. And I just get the feeling with our ball club and what we're doing year after year now, competing. I just think there's a lot of clubs that think there's a lot of talent over there in that dugout and that bullpen. Believe me, it can affect people when they struggle and you've not struggled.
Inciarte will salvage a 2 for 5 night.
I think it's the tip of the iceberg, Bob, for this organization. I think they're right where they want to be. You know, you think losing Strauss, that's tough. That's a tough thing.
Well,
but it happens.
You know, the October thing. The Nats have to win a first-round series.
Yeah.
Get to the NLCS. Take your chances. You got 7 games to battle it out with somebody. And that's what everybody's thinking about right now. There should be no talk about World Series or whatever. Clinch first. A step toward that tonight. The magic number is 6. Good job by Sean Kelly. And this one is over as the Nats continue to totally dominate the Atlanta Braves and the National League East. 7-2, the Nats win it on 12 hits. Trey Turner, 4-hit night. Jason Worth, 3. Murphy, a couple. What a night. We'll be back with you on Sunday when the Nats and Braves wrap it up. We'll get you going at 1 o'clock. This has been a presentation of Masson. Stay tuned now. It is Johnny and Phil with Nats Extra, presented by WB Mason. And for now, from Atlanta, see you later.